You can look to Christian principles as a guide for how to communicate through a crisis because you are called to focus on the truth. I've seen public figures cave during a crisis, and I've seen others follow Christ's teachings by starting with the truth. Whether it was his intent to practice Christian teachings, Governor Rick Snyder did follow sound Christian communication strategies during his 2016 State of the State address. Governor Snyder spent more than half his time on his speech talking about the Flint water crisis, what happened, and what is being done to fix it. Documenting the problem and sharing it with the public demonstrates transparency, which is also a must when communicating through a crisis. He even shared his emails regarding the conversations about the Flint water crisis, even though the law didn't require him to do so. He also appropriately acknowledged the experts who exposed the water problem, including Dr. Mona Hanna-Attisha, who sounded the alarm after she heard the city of Flint wasn't doing corrosion control to prevent lead and aging pipes from leaching into the water supply. Everything the governor did that night was sound crisis communication strategies that would enable him to focus righting the wrong. However, Crisis Communications 101 will not clean up this mess. Too little, too late were the sentiments of many social media people. This is a problem you can't just apologize for and move on. You can't communicate your way out of this crisis. As the media noted, the governor got a little choked up at the end of his speech. Many things were probably going on through his mind as this crisis seemed far from his leadership style up to this point. This tragic reality put Michigan on the national stage in one of the worst ways possible. But more importantly, it affected the lives of thousands of people. Yes, the state now has an obligation to walk the PR talk. And as the governor noted, government failed at the federal, state, and local level. We need to make sure this never happens again in any way in Michigan. However, the damage is done. Not just to families of Flint, but also to the governor's political career. This is not just about the biggest crisis of his 5 years as governor, it's one of the biggest in the country. So no, there's no crisis communication strategy to fully mop up this mess. People will forever remember the demands for his resignation and the calls for criminal prosecution. Years from now, people will talk about the governor accepting major responsibility for the Flint drinking water catastrophe in his State of the State address, setting out short-term and long-term plans and promises to put things right. But no plans can completely rectify his reputation. "I'm sorry and I'll fix it," he said at the opening of his 50-minute speech, directly addressing the residents of Flint. "You did not create this crisis and you did not deserve it." The apology was necessary, and it may help diffuse the anger, but it does not eliminate the problem. This is a lesson about having to live with the consequences of a crisis that could have been avoided if better steps were taken. However, when you are faced with a crisis that was created in some part by your actions, admitting it, apologizing for it, and accepting responsibility to fix it is what Jesus would expect us to do. This has been a Christ-Centered Communication Message. I'm Vanessa Denha-Garmo, a communications evangelist.